for his book.
You got your book?
Today I got it, yeah.
Through the Woods? Sweet.
Through the Woods, hardback, beautiful, glossy, gorgeous colors, just great quality all around. Cannot wait to read it.
Can't wait to get mine, dude. It's on its way. But since I'm in Canada, it takes longer.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You'll get it, my Mountie friend. You'll get it. So what, so we're going to promote books?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your good stuff.
Oh, let's go with mine then. Blood Hunt. Just passed the 10K like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, sweet! Congratulations, man.
Yeah, now we're at 10K, 3,995, and I'm pretty proud of it. The book is all done. I'm in final edit. The editor's going through all the lettering, and we should be ready to print within a week or two, max.
That's great, man. And your art has just gotten better and better. The more I see the stuff you do, you're improving all the time. It's looking slicker and slicker. Oh man. And then I've always loved that this reminds me of like a good 90s video game that I really want to play, that I really want to rent. Like that's what I thought when I saw the title and saw the character, you know?
Blood Hunt, Payback's a Bitch, or Adept in Blood. I paid tribute to, remember those old classic movies when they had two titles?
Yeah. I
thought it was funny. And also Bullwinkle did that for a while. Welcome, Brian.
Nice. Hey, Brian. Oh, no. He's a zombie, Brian. Run.
I'm hating life. No, actually, oddly enough, my nickname when I was in junior high school was Zombie Man. All the kids go, "Hey, Zombie Man," because all I wanted to talk about was zombies. This is back when like the only people that were into zombie movies were like utter like cretins and trolls and and punk rockers and shit.
Yeah. Like I had to get my zombie movies like on a beat up VHS at the flea market back in the day. You know.
Yep. Same here.
$5 or something.
I always envied my UK peeps, my UK horror peeps, because they had the video nasties business over there, where like police were like crashing into video stores and like ripping movies off the shelves. So like they like I felt like I was like dealing, like you and I felt like we were dealing with like something forbidden when we were like, renting like Lucio Fulci movies and shit like that. They were actually breaking the law.
That's right, man. That's right. My friends and I, we didn't do it with a horror movie. We did it with Pulp Fiction, but still, we were pirating Pulp Fiction and opening up trench coats and giving kids copies of Pulp Fiction for like $10 each at our high school. We were like little dealers, but we were like dealing cool art.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I did own one video nasty I got off eBay back in the day. It was the Shogun Assassin one where they recut and redubbed Lone Wolf and Cub into this like horrible gore fest. It was great.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. What's crazy is that they just like there's no way that should have been as good as it was.
Yes.
Because if you told me it's like, okay, well, we're gonna take we're gonna take two Lone Wolf and Cub movies, we're gonna chop them up, we're gonna put them together, and somehow maybe it'll make sense.
Yeah.
Well, and they called it Shogun Assassin because there was a TV show, a miniseries called Shogun.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
classic 80s.
Yeah. And so they took like the head of the Yagyu clan and turned him into the Shogun. And they put in like this like wicked, they dubbed it like shockingly. And they put in like this absolutely killer synth score.
Yeah.
And there's no way in hell that should have been awesome. And it was freaking awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I caught myself lucky that here in Montreal we had like two stores. One was called the Black Box, and the other one was called Labyrinth. And they were like little stores that were hitting somewhere, like like a little hole in nowhere, like that store in the Gremlin store.
Oh, yeah. Like in Japan, they have places like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, like you see all the stores, but you go down the stairs there in the basement. Yeah, there's a store there. and you could get those type of horror comics and all those VHS of all those. They were not legal copies, but you could get them.
Awesome. Even more fun. What kind of old school or what kind of horror comics influenced Blood Hunt, if any?
It's actually a manga. Do you know Helsing?
Oh, of course.
With Alucard? Yeah. That's one of the things that inspired. It's like, I like to say as a joke, it's like John Wick and Alucard had a violent baby.
Yeah. Makes sense, man.
It looks
and they
so
tried
awesome.
to abort it after it got out and it got away and like turned into this badass.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's alive on their asses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, people go get yours because it's going to be closing in a week or two max. Probably even at the end of next week on my birthday, I might just close it because my birthday's May 1st. And I want this to be done, ordered, so I can launch the Tales from the Nadverse, which is my other baby that I'm launching soon.
Ooh.
Oh, sweet.
Is that a anthology series?
Tales from the Nadverse. It's built to be a companion to Nat the Merc, the new book that I'm working on that's going to be introduced in CG Jumpstart.
Yeah.
The first chapter is all the short story that I published before, republished in English, right? And that it all leads to the miniseries that I'm launching.
Mm-hmm.
Within it, it's introducing all the characters in the universe. But after that, I have plan of keeping it going for like, hey, remember that character you met in Not the Merc? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, here's a story of him.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you kept Blood Hunt open, man. Because Vaughn, I don't know if you knew this, but he was going to pull the plug when he was at about 8K. And do you want to tell the story, Sim?
Yeah, I was scheduled to go on Raging Golden Eagle, and
nice.
and we're there, and
He's great.
I start getting like I got 5 DMs, and I started reading them, and 2 are like, "Oh, we're really interested. Could you at least just keep it open 3 days minimum? So we wait till payday, we'll jump in." And I would advise maybe to keep it open until you're ready to print because people are getting money soon.
Yeah.
And the other emails were, please wait till the check. Please wait till the check. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait till I'm ready to go to print. And within 3 days, I had 16 more backers, and now I'm over 10K, and that's been 2 weeks.
Thing of beauty. Congrats.
Seriously, man.
Made the right choice.
Yep. Customers always right. Exactly. Listen to the fans.
Listen to the fans.
Because it's not like, with, like I was thinking like, oh, variant covers, like maybe I should do a variant cover, but then I feel like that's a ripoff. But then I'm like, wait a second. I'm not putting a gun up to anybody's head for like a variant cover. Like people want stuff.
But you know what I did here? You know what I did here? Before I win the first funding, you could get the variant cover, right? Separately. Not anymore. What's the magic of a variant cover? It's that supposedly you need to buy the original to get it. So that's what I'm applying right now. It's if you want the variant cover, well, you buy the all-in, you get the original thing, and you get the variant. Otherwise, you can't get it.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and we're not putting guns up to people's heads. People like the consumer is asking for this stuff, so why not give it to them?
Yeah, it's like giving them like some people want to buy 2-3 copies, so you give them a reason to.
Exactly.
I've thought about it. I decided not to because I just don't like it when I go to a campaign and see a bunch of variant covers. But other comic fans just love them, and I've thought about maybe doing like a separate campaign of just a variant cover of Monster MD or some other book I do.
No reason not to.
There's a lot of people doing it that way. Like
Yeah. Seems to work. People seem to like it.
Yeah, and it's not like I said. It's like because for me, it's like when I was first thinking about it, I was just kind of like, because I'm not like a variant cover guy. I just want the book so I can read the story. But if the consumer wants it, they're we're not roping them into something. They're asking for it.
But it's like me. I'm not big on variant covers neither. But it's fun to maybe have the choice of 2, right? But like the other day, I bagged a Black Flag, and I was happily surprised that when I bagged the double issue, right, you had the option of choosing the covers you wanted. So you had the colored cover plus the black and white line work, and I'm like, well, I want one of each.
Thank you.
Yeah, like there's a collector in you that wants that sometimes, when you
Mhm.
really like a book,
But I might as well have something different. And like the line work, dude, like it's something I've learned in CG. There's a lot of people that like black and white, right? They might want to have a final book in color eventually, but a lot of them are big fans of black and white. So sometimes, just the line work on the cover is considered a very valuable and very tantalizing variant cover.
Definitely stands out.
Mm-hmm.
I love black and white comics. Unfortunately, they're a hard sell.
Yes. Yeah.
I know that the guy that why am I blanking on his name? The Merry Boys dude.
Carl.
Yeah. Like Merry Boys, it's like I don't want to see that in color. That looks beautiful in black and white, but he wants
gorgeous.
to make gorgeous, right? I can't wait to read that damn book. And 4 little Michael Berrymans with like cricket bats. Just like I'm sold, right? So, but yeah, no, he says like he wants to make his next book in color, and that's probably because maybe he feels like the campaign could have maybe done a little bit better if it were in color, which is sad. But I mean, I don't know about how you feel, Vaughn, but whenever I get pencils from my artist, I hate to see them inked and I hate to see them colored. I really do.
Yeah,
because they're so beautiful.
Sometimes it's amazing how much energy and looseness and naturalness that the pencils will have, and then it can lose that in the ink at times.
Yeah.
And you feel there's a little part of you, the artist in you, that goes, "Oh." But my solution was make a sketchbook for Monster MD and show off as much black and white and pencil stuff as I could.
Yeah,
genius move.
Yeah,
That's
I was hoping to reach the 15K before it was too late, because right now we're kind of getting close to being too late as soon as we're doing the print file. But I would have liked to have the black and red edition.
Well,
that'd be cool.
I'm considering maybe eventually doing a second campaign. There
you go.
Having for the full colored or the just black and red, because imagine black and red with the Blood Hunt. That would be amazing.
That would be sweet. Did you see that Red Sonja book they did? That was black and white and red. It's just gorgeous, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I think when like the Batman black and white comics came out, I think that really started something. I think it started like a new appreciation for minimalist coloring or no color. That
you could say it was a way of bringing that storytelling with colors, like bringing emphasis on something. It was, it's like you can use bubbles and lettering to also convey storytelling, not just doing. That's the thing I like about those type of coloring. And they did the Frank Miller Sin City.
Yeah.
It's
fantastic.
It's part of the storytelling, and it's not just one color.
Yes.
But like when I saw the black and red of, like you said, Red Sonja and a few others, I'm like,
so pretty,
beautiful. And
I wanted to do a Victorian era book in England, and it's all steampunky and smoggy. And I was like, why not black and white? Like that's the best tone for it, the best way to tell the story. So, I have a black and white book.
Especially if you look at there's a movie. It's not that well known. I think it has Boris Karloff's very best performance. It's called Corridors of Blood. And it takes place in Victorian London, and it is about the guy who invents anesthetic, because he's a surgeon, and at that time, prevailing belief is that pain and the knife will never be separated. And he's seeing how people, after like getting their legs amputated or something like that, they're like traumatized. And so he's like, I got to do something about this. And he does his first experiment. It goes terribly wrong. He ends up the laughing stock of the university. So he starts experimenting on himself and becomes a drug addict. And that's what it's really about. It's about drug addiction.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then there's Christopher Lee, who plays Resurrection Joe. I don't know if you've ever heard the cult song "Resurrection Joe." That's who that's referring to. And Resurrection Joe is, of course, a grave robber. And like Burke and Hare, sometimes the bodies turn up a little too fresh, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, the look of that film, it's black and white, but it's that luminous black and white that you see like from the Outer Limits. Do you know what I mean?
Beautiful. Oh yes.
That beautiful black and white that has like this kind of glowing, luminous quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna do that book, watch that freaking movie. It's stunning.
So cool. That reminds me of something I read recently about when they first started realizing that they could use very thin stitching to kind of repair veins in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't pull it off. The surgeons didn't, have the right thread or basically the know-how to pull it off. So they went to people who sew like lace or something like really refined, those really thin. And then they had them sewing up people's veins. And so like, it's like, imagine the story of someone who 1 minute you're working in clothing and the next you're like saving lives and like working with bodies on a table. Like it must've been pretty interesting back then.
I'm a surgeon.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And then of course, the story of Burke and Hare, the fact that, that you couldn't experiment on cadavers because like, well, oh my God, if you take this body apart, you remove its eyeballs on the day of judgment, that homeboy's going to come back. He's not going to have any eyes.
Oh, man, med schools were so hard up for bodies. They didn't ask any questions. You could bring them,
really
like
didn't.
Anybody, like your grandma, and they'd be like, sure, here's your money.
I remember that joke in what's it, Holy Grail or something with the Monty Pythons.
I'm not dead yet.
But they're walking.
Yeah.
Not dead yet.
Yeah.
Fucking what's his face? John Landis, of all people, made a Burke and Hare movie that came out a couple years ago with Andy Serkis and Simon Pegg. And it's not very good. It's watchable. But what's really odd is they shot it as a musical and then cut all the songs out.
John Landis, man. I love that guy. He's crazy.
Oh, have you seen his Monsters book?
I don't know. If I did, my horror buddy showed it to me at his place.
It's awesome. It's so gorgeous. And I am going to do CG Monster book. The CG Monster Club is going to happen at some point. And we're getting together and we're talking monsters. God damn it.
They say better late than never.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just my schedule's just been crazy all over the place, like 4 hours of sleep. And, but fuck it.
This is Monster MD, everybody. Speaking of,
woohoo!
Proud to be a part of CG's Monster Club, Team Monster, as we like to call it sometimes. We just broke 75K recently, and we are on the last big climactic battle scene of the book. Our colorist is working her ass off. And I'm working my ass off on the sketchbook. So it's all coming together. We're getting there soon. Marco Makani is the artist, and he's outdone himself on this book. It's just it's a beautiful work. And when you combine him with Tanya Wicker, our colorist, this is what you get. Something unique, beautiful, funny, dark, everything I like in one place. So please check it out on Indiegogo, guys.
Dude, I'm so happy I got to back it. Like I was a bit late, but I backed it like last month.
Sweet, thank you.
Let me check and make sure that I backed it, because there's this thing, and I'm so happy I'm not the only person that this happens to. But sometimes I think I've backed something, and then
it's happened to me.
But it's not
just everybody.
But that's not just you. That's Indiegogo too. Sometimes you would go there. You'll back it. You'll get like your backer number this, but it won't go through in the end. And that's what happens to why we get ghost backers.
Right.
That's why.
Yep.
Okay, let's see.
Oh yeah, I assumed like it would back, and then there would be something wrong with the bank or something, and then it would just not go through.
It's the bank, the credit, or sometimes they go like, oh, it's weird. Like sometimes they detect Indiegogo as maybe a fraud or something, because it's not something that they're used of doing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I had a few people that had to call their banks and go, I need to authorize an international like, but it's Indiegogo. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sending your money to me directly to Canada.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, sure enough, no, I haven't backed it. Wow, I am a bad boy.
That's okay.
Let me rectify that situation.
How dare you?
I thought
we were in a club.
I know.
We were friends.
I'm not. Well, I mean, I'm not part of the CG Monster Club Society because I don't have a book about monsters right now.
With a monster.
I'm just jealous.
It's a big fucking gorilla with guns. He is a monster.
That is kind of monstrous. Yeah.
King Kong was a monster.
King Kong was a monster, but Six Gun Gorilla isn't. He's just a gorilla, a really pissed off gorilla with really big guns. but yeah, no, I mean, it's so wonderful seeing a book like Monster MD doing as well as it is. The sense of anticipation that's out there for this is tremendous. I can say that with all honesty because people are just talking about it and saying, when people get to talking like off streams, like, oh, like what books are you really looking forward to? Monster MD is always at the top of the list.
All right. Thank you, man. It's good to hear that. God,
That's
I mean, I put my everything into this and I've been working on it forever and it came together great. And I'm just really the community that helped make it happen. Like it's all you guys. Thank you guys.
And you got 1,614 people waiting for that book. No pressure.
Yeah, really.
And here's the thing. You guys, this is your Simon, this is your first campaign, right?
It's my first campaign, but it's my second campaign.
Right. It's like the same way that there are like a lot of novelists who have written like 2, 3, 4 first novels. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So and Vaughn, this is your first campaign. So once you guys deliver, and let me tell you, when you see, this is like when you get the payoff. The payoff is when you see people reading your damn book, when they're like posting pictures, like on the Twitter and making YouTube videos. That's when you guys are going to be higher than kites. And people are going to know that you deliver, that you fulfill. And because what are we doing? We're operating on the honor system. We're asking people to give their money to a stranger, basically.
To invest in our dream. Yep.
To invest in our dream. And they could tell, and that's what, and of course, what makes CG projects so special. They're all passion projects. We're making the comics that we want to read, and you can look at Blood Hunt, and you can look at Monster MD, and you can the passion is coming off these projects in heat waves.
They're not rushed. We take our time. We put everything we got in it. It's
Yeah, I mean, because and also, Vaughn, I remember, I think you were a little upset once because you're just kind of like, oh, this is taking forever. People are like, where's my book? And I just like, and I sent you a message once, I made sure to let you know, like, I'm just curious. I'm not like poking you. I'm like, right, because it's very simple. Would we rather have the book fast or would we rather have it awesome? We would rather have it awesome.
But
that's right.
Another thing people need to keep in mind is as long as you do updates, you keep your backers updated. There's no issue.
Yeah. People understand.
Yeah.
People understand that
you're transparent. You tell them what it is, and
the nature of crowdfunding. As long as I'm well updated, and I'm okay. If you're late, I'll be like, I don't really care that much as long as I know like you're working on it. If you're late and you haven't updated me, I get worried. And then if you're really late, that's when I'm like, okay, is this thing coming out? And that's when I get worried. But that takes like a year and a half or something of being late.
Red Rooster.
That's Red Rooster concerned me. You know.
Yeah.
And then I got my copy of it or the digital preview, and I'm like, okay, This is
Right.
I feel better now.
Right, because you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see.
We can keep in mind is that most people are expecting to wait at least 6 months to a year. It's a common thing in crowdfunding.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. I got people like in New Zealand who haven't gotten their books yet. I've mailed them, but they haven't gotten them yet, and I feel like shit. I feel like shit about it. But I also let them know, like, hey, this is the deal. And if you don't get your book, or if your book arrives damaged, scuffed, bent, crinkled, anything wrong with it, if you're not happy with your purchase, hit me up. Let me know, because that's the other thing. We are all about customer service, and we want our backers to be happy because we love you folks, because you're helping make our dreams come true.
That's right.
And
tell us about your dream. Tell us about the night you dreamt of a big gorilla with a cowboy hat and 2 6-shooters.
Oh,
giant 6-shooter
and a bad attitude.
it was actually during an afternoon. I was searching a website on Golden Age heroes, and I came across the title Six Gun Gorilla, and I was like, I had the reaction a lot of people have, which is, okay, that's ridiculous. That could also be freaking awesome. Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I gotta read this, right? So I went and I looked to see if I could find a copy. I discovered that it had been out of print since it was first published in 1939 in a British boys pulp magazine called Wizard. The author, unknown. No author is credited. And I couldn't get access to the story because there are only 2 copies left in existence, and they are both under lock and key in a museum in London. So, I was like, "What?" It's like, talk about tickling my ass with a feather, right? I was pissed. I was pissed. I was like, I want to read.
They don't have any picture, any digital, nothing. Usually, when they do that, when they have things like that in a museum, so you can actually have access to it.
Now you can get access to it.
Oh.
But that's because there's a scholar, a pulp historian whose name escapes me right now. I feel bad about that because he really is quite exceptional. He went to the museum and asked, like, "Hey, can I scan this?" And they were like, "Sure." And he put it up for free. But this is like recently, right? So this is like, I heard about the character. I heard about the story about like 6 years ago. So I hop in my car. I'm going to drive to a shopping mall in Paramus, New Jersey, because I live about 50 minutes outside of New York City, which means there's nothing but shopping malls where I live. But this shopping mall has the world's last Arthur Treachers fish and chips, and fish and chips is like my favorite junk food. So I'm driving there and I'm listening to the Hawk the Slayer soundtrack. And by the time I park my car, I have the entire story. It had never happened to me before that a story just emerged whole cloth in my head, but I had the entire saga. And
that's how you know it's good.
Yeah. And, I grew up loving, King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, and I also grew up loving Westerns. The Italian Westerns, of course, that was my introduction to the genre. The Sergio Leone films, the Sergio Corbucci films, the Sergio Salima films. Basically, if you want to watch a really good Italian Western, folks, just make sure that the director's first name is Sergio, and you're probably pretty good to go. And when I saw that title, it set off a firecracker in my head. And then I was like, well, I should officially make this my own IP. In a sense, it is and isn't at the same time. I own the title, but I own the character because the character is completely unique. The story and everything, that's from my head. That's, I have read the original Six Gun Gorilla, and it's a hoot. It's great, but it's nothing like this.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I just it wrote itself, and I found an artist, Adrian Sibar, from beautiful Buenos Aires, Argentina, and my friend Wes did the first couple of covers, and the next thing I knew, we were off and running, and we had a great book. It got great reviews, and we could not find a publisher.
Right.
And you know, they were like, no bueno, because there had been another Six Gun Gorilla comic book that came out the exact same month.
What?
It was
did that one?
Was it Boom or IDW Boom, right?
It was Boom. It was
Sounds
Boom.
like Boom.
So, what are the odds of two Six Gun Gorilla comics coming out at the exact same time?
That is so weird. That is
slim
so
and none.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I got slim, right? So
doubt.
it's hard not to take that shit personally. And the other book was by a guy named Cy Spurrier. I reached out to him and was like, look, I'm going to have a table at the New York Comic Con. I know you're going to be there. Stop by my table, hit me up. We'll go out, have a couple of pints, and have a laugh about this, right? No, he was a total dick. He was a total dick to me. And yeah. And that year at the New York Comic Con, Boom was not advertising that book at all. I mean, there was nothing there for it. Nothing. And we ruled Independence Alley. We sold out of comics on the day 2. We sold out of issue 1. And yeah, I think we moved about like 350 comics, at least, minimum, right? And, you know, a part of it also has to do with the fact that, you know, we were the only book in Independence Alley that wasn't about zombies that year. You know, I'm gonna keep it real. So our book definitely stood out in a major way. And we had this awesome, you know, standee, and my friend Wes had a big, beautiful banner in it for me and everything. And, but yeah, the other Six Gun Gorilla book bombed because it was a science fiction story. It wasn't a Western. The gorilla only shows up at the very end of the first issue, and then the gorilla's not real. It's actually a figment of the protagonist's imagination because he's like a pulp scholar. And
What the F?
yeah,
It looks like Bleeding Cool did an article about that, huh?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Wow.
Yep. And you want to hear something really special? You want to hear something really special? Let me share this. Let me share this with you.
It's special.
It's special. It is. It is.
But Brian, just one thing.
Mhm.
I need to give you shit about something.
You can give me shit about anything all the time, Simon.
There's not even one update, and you know me an update, and
okay.
not even one.
I'll get down on it. Get down on it.
That's right.
Yeah, well, no, you're right about that. Yeah, I will get on that, as a matter of fact. But yeah, so the other Six Gun Gorilla was basically about a futuristic blood sport. Like, so it was like the Running Man combined with a old Harvey Keitel movie called Death Watch, about a guy who has cameras implanted in his eyes so he can watch a woman dying of cancer, and then it's broadcast on television and everybody can kick back and watch it. It was sort of predicted reality TV. But anyway, yeah, it bombed. And so
how many issues? Like a miniseries, like 6?
Yeah.
Something like 5,
yeah.
6.
It ended up right in the bargain basement bin.
Mm-hmm.
And my book got better reviews, but you know, after that, you know, who's going to want a Six Gun Gorilla book? I toyed with the idea of changing the title many times. At one point, I was going to call it Silverback, and you know, maybe I'll still do that for something, you know, just for like copyright IP purposes or something like that. But every other title I came up with, you know, Gunslinger Gorilla, everything sounded like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yeah.
So I was
Grape Ape Gunslinger.
Yeah, exactly.
I still watch that.
McGilla Gorilla with the gat.
The killer gorilla with the gat. That's cool.
with the nine, with the nine and the gauge. But yeah, no, it I've been really lucky. I've been really blessed because CG has given me an opportunity to keep this book going. And unfortunately, I lost my creative team because when I went CG, they bailed on me, ghosted me hard and fast.
Cowards, total cowards.
Well, they're not willing to do the 5 minutes of research to find out. You know, that's the thing is people are a lot harder on the people who fucked me over than I am on them. Like I actually have some sympathy for them because I understand the fear is palpable.
Yeah.
But
it can affect their whole career type stuff.
And it's not their fault.
You get blacklisted.
Dude, if you Google a CG like Comicsgate and you go to Wikipedia, they keep rewriting it to something very not nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And that has nothing to do with anything or anybody in CG.
No, not at all. No. Right. So the fact that they would think like, oh, Nazis, yeah, I can understand that. I just wish, and I told them like, look, do the 5 minutes of research because I learned my lesson from Gamergate, which was when I first heard about Gamergate, I was like, what? Like these video game nerds are like sending death threats to like this chick. Like that's just nasty. And then I did 5 minutes of research and I went, oh, this isn't about misogyny. This is about like corruption in gaming journalism. Yep. This is a consumer movement, right?
Yep.
But that's because I did my 5 minutes of research. Most people won't do that, man. So, but the good news is that I do have a new creative team. I have a new artist that's going to be illustrating issue number 8, Cemetery Without Crosses, and his name is Mr. Preston Acevedo.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So it's interesting because like there's like, I consider Preston a friend, right? So there's like Preston the dude, and then there's Preston the artist. And I'm looking at Preston the artist. I'm like, I'm going to be working with that guy. Like I'm a little intimidated. So one of the things I don't know if you've seen Preston's canvases, but they're out of this freaking. Oh, they're out of this.
I never miss them,
Oh, so I'm going to want him to do a canvas cover for issue number 8.
That'd be pretty. Nice painted cover.
Yes.
I'm kind of a fan of those lately.
They're beautiful. They're so beautiful. And they're just gorgeous. And I'm thinking like also like, boy, wouldn't that be an interesting tier as well, right? Where you can get like you can get the canvas for the original for the cover. So we're gonna figure all that stuff out. But I'm hoping to get this to join the 10K club and hopefully maybe even beyond, and then I can definitely pay Preston what he's worth.
Yeah, but I want a horror comic out of you, dude. You're perfect for that. Like that's what I want to see from you.
I got one. I actually have two. I have two. There's Tequila Moonrise, which is about luchadors versus monsters. Although that's nice. That's a little bit more like Big Trouble in Little China. And then I've got Southpaw, which is about a Rougarou, that's to say a Cajun werewolf versus like 1970s Satanists. So it's El Super So it's gonna be like one of the early Burt Reynolds car crash movies, like White Lightning and Gator meets Race with the Devil and The Devil's Reign with like a werewolf. And but everybody's doing werewolf books right now, so I may put that on the back burner. And then I've also got a sword and sorcery comic that I want to do, tentatively titled Slayers. That's going to be very, very horror oriented, because it's going to be mostly like a Guns of Navarone thing, where a small group of warriors sent on a kind of suicide mission, but instead it's gonna be sort of like, the way I describe it is like Lord of the Rings if the entire story took place in the mines of Moria and Mordor. So it's just going to be like, they're just going to be fighting monsters all the friggin' way. And the monsters are going to get bigger and stronger. And then they'll finally, of course, they get to the ultimate. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for it.
For the tension and the darkness. Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
One of my theories on werewolves, that's cool to see them getting popular lately. I fucking love werewolves.
My
one of my
monster.
favorite things that I don't think get, they don't get a fair shake enough in film and TV and what have you. But I feel like the key to this is just my little theory. I have no idea if it's real, but if you could figure out a way to make them sexier, they'd be even more popular. We need like sexy werewolves.
Well, have you seen? Well, of course, we had the sexy werewolves in the Twiglet movies, right? Where vampire sparkle.
Right. And werewolves stand there getting covered in like water hoses nearby with their abs flexed to the max, and
and and it's like, okay, I understand this is for tweens, you put a little beef. It's not for me. It's not for you. It's it's like, I look at it like Steven Universe, right? Which is SJW art. Right? I'm like, it's not for me. I'm not into it, but at least they're doing their own art rather than shitting all over our heroes. Do you know what I'm saying? So, well, there was, I don't know if you've seen it, but David Hayter, the guy of the voice of Solid Snake up until the last game, right? He directed a movie called Wolves, which has awesome practical makeup effects, and these are wolfmen, which is to say they're the pug werewolves, right? Without a snout,
more humanoid,
more humanoid. And there's a female werewolf, and she's actually kind of sexy. Like after she changes, and I'm thinking, like, am I turning into a furry? And it's like, no, it's that whole like attraction revulsion thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like you have a monster that's genuinely beautiful and she's even kind of attractive, but then you look down and you see her claws. It's like,
it's a design,
and you're just out of there.
Like even a car, you give them the right curves at the right place. It's the definition of how you could say a car is sexy. A book is sexy. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Well, it's kind of like that scene in Ginger Snaps when she's like kind of wolfing out and she walks into the Halloween party and everyone thinks she's in a costume, but she's like still human enough and sexy and curvaceous. But she's got those, those wolf eyes and kind of like a small little snout and, fangs going, and her skin pale. Her hair has silver streaks. It's like a mixture of, horror and the erotic, and
exactly.
So do it right. I remember once with a girl, I came up with a story called She Wolf, and it's about a woman who's like got the crazy, vengeful, abusive husband. And when she runs for it into the forest, she ends up getting, bitten by a werewolf and turning and then coming back for revenge. And I took all the hair off of her. She's pretty much like naked and fleshy, with these like claw-like paws and running around on all fours, coming to kill. So it was something I was experimenting with. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, there are definitely going to be some horror anthologies that are going to be coming. Yep. I would definitely love to write some stories for those. I was on Red Valkyrie's stream last night with Shay Zombie, who, by the way, I saw like her cosplay for when she had you on for Monster MD, right?
Yeah.
Her Heidi costume. Yeah, dude, Simon, I don't know if you've seen it. She made herself invisible.
Nope.
She used green screen, and
green screen.
It came out kind of brilliant. Yeah, it was amazing.
It came out amazing. I actually checked out that video. I was like, damn.
Yeah, and it's a thing to behold. I've never seen a Heidi cosplay before, and when I do, she's freaking invisible in places, and I was just like, this is amazing. You went all out. Because, she's a fan. She's amazing like that.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. I had a great time on that show. And to mention Heidi, she has been sort of the breakout star, hasn't she? She's been the fan favorite, shall we say?
Yeah, people instantly love her. They, it was just like a love affair from the start. So I did like a Heidi takeover of my Twitter where she ran it for a while and was like, "Hey guys, what's going on? Here's some nude pics of me," stuff like that. So she's too fun. All the jokes like with her come naturally. She's the ultimate sexy sidekick that you just kind of imagine what she looks like.
Right. She leaves a lot to the imagination.
Mm-hmm. Well, until you get to see her backstory in the book, so I'm kind of spoiling it early for people. But people. I've asked fans like, "Do you want to see it?" And they're like, hell yeah!"
Of course,
let's give them what they want.
And I think also one of the things that appeals to me about these characters is that there's something sad about them.
Yeah, tragic.
Hey, welcome, Vinny.
Oh, Vinny in the house.
Hey guys.
Hey,
What's up, guys?
the Boner King.
Hey, Boner King, I got your book today. It's awesome.
Wait, everyone's getting it today. That's fucking great.
Today's the day, buddy.
I didn't get my book.
Yeah.
I didn't. What?
Go make sure you backed it.
Oh, I backed it. I know for sure I fucking backed that thing. Oh my
I'm
God.
going in order right now. I could double check for you.
Dude, Vinny, stop! I'm busting your balls.
No.
I'm
I'm saying
your balls, brother.
literally, it would take 2 seconds to look it up. That's why I was saying I will let you know if I sent it out yet.
Okay, all right, it's all good. But I was just busting your balls.
So,
man,
can you knock on it?
Crack it! You got to crack it. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear the crack.
Which one?
All right.
Me or Vaughn?
Oh hell yeah!
Let's see if you guys can hear it. Yeah, it cracked a little bit. It's such a solid book. It's got I like the oversized quality to it because it's not too big. And it's sleek printing and the colors pop beautifully. I mean, every page. Oh God, it's just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Vinny, you killed it this time. You were at what, 32K and 320. Did you ever expect this book to take off like it has?
Not on this go around like that. Because again, it wasn't even going to be hardcover. It was going to be soft cover.
I know.
But it was starting to move nicely. I'm like, all right. I said, fuck it. It's the 5th campaign, kind of like the landmark. So I'm like, all right, I'll go all out. I did the numbers. It looked doable. Again, I'm not seeing much profit at all on this because, again, this is very expensive to do. But it's for the fans. And I always say it, man, fans first.
Always.
So ash can, hardcover, bookmarks, special other surprise in there. I think, Vaughn, I give you a very specific one. I hope you liked it.
Wait. Let me get this book again. Let me get this thing. What is... Because I haven't delved into everything yet, but I did get. Oh yeah. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about because that was the thing that I was like, awesome, and I thought it was special and for me for a second, and then I went, I bet everybody got one of these, and I was no, but it was still awesome. Was that for me, man? Oh my God, I love it.
Yes, that was. I try to be a little more specific. If I actually know the person, I try to do something that.
That's so cool.
I think that they would enjoy, yeah.
I need to turn on my camera and show everybody.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. He sent me a freaking sleek, glossy. It's gonna reflect the computer screen a little bit, but this is a glossy, beautiful Wolfman print.
What?
It's gorgeous and it's signed, dude.
What?
It's freaking signed. I love this. I'm gonna frame this, man. Thank you.
Oh, wicked bitchin' cool.
Like at first I thought, oh my God, like did he make this for me? And then I'm like, I'm not that special. He wouldn't do that, But thank you, man. This is awesome.
There's only a handful of people who got that one. Again, I've been sending out a lot of different ones. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I'm like, as soon as I saw your name, I'm like, yeah, I think
badass.
you really enjoyed this one.
Oh, I do. It's just gorgeous. I can't wait to hang it up. Thank you again. Ah, beautiful.
As much as I love the Wile E. Coyote werewolves, you know, with the big ears and the snout and everything, I also love the pug-faced werewolves too. And it's I'm happy to see them making a bit of a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, brother.
Yeah, man. Bipedal, classic Lon Chaney werewolves. Yeah.
Yep. You know that the
Sure,
Lon
man.
Chaney, Jr. Wolfman makeup that was originally supposed to be used for Henry Hull in Werewolf in London,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Henry Hull was like, "I'm not wearing that shit. That's gonna take like 3 hours for Jack Pierce to put on me. I'm not sitting in that chair for 3 hours. Fuck you." And so they came up with a more streamlined look, which itself is also very iconic. You know, which Jack Nicholson had in Wolf, for instance. But oh man, look at this art.
Yeah.
Vinny just killing
Thank
it.
you.
Fulfillment
When you see it on the
king.
page, it's so much better on the page. It's just gorgeous, man.
Oh yeah, that's why I wanted it in this format. And my proof copies, like I made sure everything was going to be how it should have been, right? How I did it when I was painting it, slightly darker. Yeah, dude, I'm more than pleased and proud of this book. So yeah, to have this on the shelf, I think any fan of like horror or ghost stuff, they would eat this up, eat it up in a second. So I'm happy I'm happy that the numbers are jumping up on this. Because again, like, you know, now I can start to make maybe a little bit of profit, you know, as it goes up.
Well, also think about this, man. You are the fulfillment king. We all understand that. And you're fulfilling on this now. People are going to be really happy with this book, I guarantee you, because it looks like a beautiful French hardcover comic book, right? And folks, if you haven't read French comic books, I don't know if you knew that was a thing. Check that shit out. Simon and I at some point are going to do a show on French comic books because everybody knows about Japanese comic books. You got to check out French comic books. They're freaking awesome.
I could grab some real quick and show them.
Oh, rock and roll.
There's a reason why they're that big.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm a huge fan of Enrico Marini.
Yeah,
Elric.
That's killer.
I love that series.
And the ruby throat, and you get it. It's a nice It's like Through the Woods. It's like a nice big size, nice gorgeous hardbound, and then the art just destroys. The art will just
paper, the colors are great.
take you away. There's a reason in France, comic book stores will have some of them will have 2 floors, and everybody's like packed elbow to elbow to get in there and get their fix. You know.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, because it's that gorgeous format, man. You have a beautiful product, and you want to showcase it in a nice way, and
And you know,
I can't wait for the next one of those to come out. I don't know when the next one's coming out, but I can't wait.
This is the newest one, I think.
Yep.
they're pricier, but they're really worth it.
Yep.
give us a side by side with Through the Woods.
Yeah. Let's do a compare. Dare to compare. Hey guys, look. This is where comics is going.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you have such beautiful art, it's just nice to have a beautiful showcase for it too, you know?
Oh,
It's like a beautiful frame for a beautiful painting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, and trust me, this thing has been putting my stomach in my throat for a while now because it's making sure the numbers were right. Then, you know, all the shipping stuff, I had to get special boxes, you know, all that stuff. Yeah. But it's all working.
And to give an extra incentive for people to check out European comics, it's if you guys all were fans of Heavy Metal magazine at one point in your life, that's where it's from. And it's created by Mobius and all those guys. It was Metal
Brûlé.
and
Hurlant.
the first years of Heavy Metal magazine, they were filled by them. And that's where you had Bisley and a whole bunch of people, Enki Bilal. Dude, just go and explore. Trust me, you won't regret it.
Yeah. It's a world of comic books that's just waiting for you to dive into. and also to draw inspiration from, because of course, comic book writers and artists, we're just like filmmakers, we're just like painters, we're just like musicians. We're always paying attention to what people in other cultures and other countries are doing in the medium.
And you'll see a similarity with one of the strengths of CG is that we get to do our books a bit in the same way that they do, is that they get between 6 months to a year to produce at least between 58 to 60, I think 6, I think the biggest one usually. Page each. So yeah. And you get high quality. You get, they get time to spend 2-3 days on the page, not just like a McDonald's quick comic book popped out on,
No shitty Tumblr art. No shitty Tumblr art.
No, you're gonna get the highest quality. That's why I love that stuff. Those books influence me more than mainstream books in most cases. Because when I started getting my hands on them, I fucking love them.
When we do that show, Vinny's probably gonna be with us.
Yeah. Man.
Anybody that wants to hop in, and Vaughn, now we know, is a French comics guy too. What I love about that Elric series in particular is that fucking Michael Moorcock read it, and he's just like, yeah, it's actually better than my novels.
That was the first one in CG that I went on their show, and I mentioned Meta Baron, and he went, I fucking know this shit.
Yep. Jodorowsky, man. Huge Jodorowsky fan. And Wabius, of course.
I've Black Sad too.
Oh, nice.
Another amazing book.
Yeah, I've been meaning to grab that one. I haven't yet.
It's fucking amazing, Vinny. It's really worth it. Seriously.
I haven't grabbed it yet either.
Gorgeous.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. It looks absolutely stunning. Is that and that's in English, right?
Did you ever read Mouse?
Long time ago.
It's the anthropomorphic of it. It's pretty much the same principle when you think
right.
Yeah.
But it's like that show, that manga and the TV show Beast Stars. I think is like, I keep telling like all my horror peeps, like you really should check that out. But it's getting dismissed as like furry bait the same way that that book is.
Furries have definitely tainted those waters for me. I mean, I didn't want to watch Beastars.
No.
Have you? It's really good.
No, is it good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's the thing. Just the opening credits will grab you because it's stop motion, right? And so you've got like what looks like a werewolf stalking through a forest, full moon and everything, and he's hunting like a little bunny rabbit woman that's like running from him, right? And then suddenly it's dawn, and he's looking at her, and he's got these like dewy eyes, and you realize, there's love in the air, interspecies love, and they start swing dancing. And the swing dancing looks incredible. Like, I mean, the animation is great. And then the sun goes down again, and then he's like clutching his face and shuddering because his hands are covered with blood, and her skull is sitting there in a pool of blood because he's just devoured her.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah,
Zootopia uncut.
Well, see, I'd never seen Zootopia before, but that's what people are kind of comparing it to. But it has a really strong horror vibe. It's very interesting, and the manga is really, really intriguing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it really is. It's because a lot of people are dismissing it as furry bait. I'm like, no. There's like really, really, and like if you're a horror fan, at least check it out. It has 3D animation for the anime, but it's like good 3D animation. Do you know what I mean? Like it's used sparingly, and they hand draw over it. It doesn't look like that horrible last season of Berserk that they did.
Oh God,
I couldn't watch it either. I know people that made it through the entire season, and I was just like, I made it one episode. I was like,
I felt like I was getting trolled. It was that bad.
Like that bad. Yeah. I mean, you just look, and that's the thing. This is why the artists and Vaughn, we have to come to a very grim realization. We have to accept the fact that these guys are always going to be a little bit more important than we are, because I'm not, because the medium is very writer driven right now, but it's very simple. If somebody picks your book up off the shelf, it doesn't matter how good your writing is. If the art makes the person go, ugh, it's going back on the shelf, and your story is not. They're not going to give your story a chance.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be at least 55, maybe even 60-40, like in the artist's favor. You know, I always feel like they should be the rock stars.
I mean, I'm a rock star, damn it. Like, I'm gonna be the writer rock star of CG.
I know that.
I know, but
you're in the art,
you're right,
dude.
though. You're right. Yeah, I'm working on. But like the hook is the art. That's just a fact. That is a cold fact. Yeah.
If it's ugly, once again,
If the cover is not catchy, people are not going to pick it up.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are in play with that stuff. Or like I said, I've seen books that have amazing artwork in it, and then the story is shit. So yeah, it goes both ways, but you won't find that out, like you said, until you actually take it home, or if you read a few pages in the store. That's usually how it goes down. Because I've gotten books where I bought like the first issue, and then when I read it, I'm like, this is fucking horrible. The artwork's great, but I'm out.
But you know, I think it should be more like not one or the other. It's people follow the writer they like, right? So sometimes you have fans, Brian, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna work with an artist that maybe some people won't like them as much. Maybe they'll still buy your book just because they like you. It's the same thing if Vinny does a book.
Yeah.
He's writing with a letter a writer that nobody likes. They don't like the story. They might just buy his book for the art. But then the magic is putting Brian and Vinny, a writer that has a fucking following, and then you put a guy like an artist that has a big following and a respect. Then you're gonna get something magical that's gonna happen.
Oh man,
yeah.
I can't wait to collaborate with there are a lot of people I can't wait to collaborate with and hope to collaborate with at some point. And yeah, it is a collaborative medium, and you always have to embrace that. And
in the 80s and 90s, you had writer rock stars and you had artist rock star. Like everybody knows who the fuck Claremont is.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, it's like you could always change the artist on X-Men. Why did you come back? It was the soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you wanted to find out what was going on with those characters, and that.
But
go ahead.
It's the mind of a great writer too, because like look at what he did with Phoenix. That thing was 10 years in the making, and he was peppering the little elements for a fucking decade.
I know.
That's the kind of detail I love in my storytelling as well. And since I do both, I mean, on Through the Woods, I worked with my brother on that one, but I did the first draft of that first issue. You know, and it almost was exactly what we have. We just went from a very bloody ending to a more suspenseful ending instead. And we removed one character. But, you know, it's pretty much where it was supposed to be. And that's the cool thing about it, man. It's me and Sim, we talked about it on the other stream earlier. It is about the storytelling. It's about being cinematic and the approach from writing, artwork, you name it. You want stuff that's going to be iconic, that's going to grab people and get them to keep fucking reading. You know, that's where we're at. We're bringing that back. We're bringing back the Jim Shooter days of Marvel. We're doing something along those lines here. We definitely are. And that's why they fucking hate us. They hate us with passion.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And also the other thing that we're bringing back is we're bringing back heroes. Because, like your boy Zach said, if SJWs had superpowers, they would use them to hurt you. And they don't know how to write. They don't know how to write heroes. And when they write heroes, they end up turning out like villains. Look at Riri Williams and these other characters. They end up writing like villains because they think like villains.
It's one of my favorite lines of Superman that ever sold his character the most was in a freaking cartoon, and it was the living in the world of cardboard.
Yes,
that freaking scene when he's facing Darkseid.
Darkseid, the last episode of Justice League Unlimited.
And he just goes. He says, "You're not getting me. I've never been a Boy Scout." You have to understand that I live. To me, it's like I live in the world of Cardbox. I cannot get angry. I cannot let myself lose control. I have to keep everything in check. You know, you're talking about the guy that could sneeze in the wrong direction and kill you.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And he looks at Darkseid and he goes, "Now I have a special opportunity to let everything out." And he just
that was epic.
And you're like, "This is Superman."
Yeah.
You know? He's not a Boy Scout, But
No.
he has to be good. He has to keep himself in check at the whole fucking time. And remember when we were discussing the Men of Steel? A lot of people have that issue with him destroying or killing things, and I'm like, dude, to me, it was him trying to tell you exactly how Superman became that guy when he went, oh fuck, the fuck
Look
did
what
I
I
do?
did.
Like,
Exactly.
oh shit, I got pissed. Oh, fuck.
Right. Yeah. And these are the things that make Superman a hero, not the fact that he can do all these incredible things, but
And
the fact
that's what brings him to those scenes later that we all like, where he's gonna make the right choices to be the bigger man and to be careful to save some people, and him getting hits because he
and being a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like Men of Steel reminded me, I don't know if you guys read it, but I'm sure Vaughn did and Vinny did. But Birthright.
Oh yeah.
You did too?
Yeah.
Dude, that story was awesome. And that was Men of Steel.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I love me some Superman. I love me some Batman.
Birthright, which was the Superman novel.
Birthright, yeah.
I don't know if I read that one.
It was like a retelling of his origin, of how he became Superman when he first left as the farm, and the story of the oil thing, the tank thing that wasn't there, and that's him going into it. And Men of Steel is actually Birthright, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Of course,
wait, who's the creative team on that one?
Hold on. It was I know it was Luna Chu or something like that, but the writer, I don't know. Hold on.
Okay. I think I'm getting confused with something else.
Yeah, I forget.
I dipped out of.
Yeah, no offense, it's you. And hold on, that was the penciler. Let me find if I can find the writer. Mark Waid.
Yay!
It was Wade, wasn't it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? You got to give props where they're deserved. Mark Waid did have excellent runs on a number of different comics.
Oh, I loved Kingdom Come.
Oh my God! It's Ragnarok for the DC universe.
Who had Hunter Killers from with Mark Silvestri and Tough Cow. That was really something good.
Oh, was it? I had
I remember that one.
I like the twist of the bad guy. Dude, the ending is epic. Dude, if you ever checked it out.
People can be talented and be assholes,
But
of course,
people change and become assholes because they get too powerful.
He was always an asshole, though. He was always an asshole. Joe Sacco shared an office with him. Joe Sacco's an interesting guy. He is a journalist.
Yeah, the story of the fit.
Right. He is a.
I've heard many of them, dude.
Yeah. Like Joe Sacco's a guy who is a journalist. He goes but instead of bringing his camera with him, he brings a pencil and a pad. So he doesn't want to record people and events as they actually were or happened. He wants to be more subjective and this is how I saw it. Right? He did a terrific book with Chris Hedges called Days of Destruction, Days of Revolt. And, that's an interesting hybrid because it's part travelogue and it's part it'll be text, and then Joe Sacco's comics will kick in and it'll be text again. It's very, very unique. I've never seen anything quite like it. But anyway, he was sharing an office with Mark Waid and said that I think he bent over to pick something up and suddenly a stapler, like one of those old heavy kind, that they used to have at the school, right? Right? Like the ones that were heavy so they wouldn't just get blown over or get knocked over. They're like paperweight. Went sailing over his head and boom, put a dent in the friggin' wall. And it's not even that he did something to piss Mark Waid off. Mark Waid was just pissed off.
Yeah. I heard stories like that. Even one of the guys told me that he pulled a Homer Simpson once.
Could you be more specific with that?
Disappeared in some bushes, or
a rage fit on the floor, almost spinning on himself.
Yeah. He walked into, or the guy that was running this office, and Mark Waid was part of the team. He decided to come in early one time, and when he did, Mark Waid like suddenly starts slamming down a phone and cussing, and then on the floor banging his fists and screaming and crying. And then he asked the team, "What the hell was that?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, he does that every day."
Yeah.
Around that time, it's like his scheduled tantrum, and then he goes back to work.
The Crush Generations, that comic company. I saw his office because I was going to do dealings with them, and it's the thing was they left it a wreck because he tore it apart. They left it a wreck on purpose. Yeah, and they banned him from the building. That's why when they went out of business, he sent that black wreath and all that other shit.
Evil.
He was trying to get a point across of how much he fucking hates them too, and it was funny because it was all Wade by himself. But that whole office was locked down and left like a mess because they said if anyone ever came, or cops or whatnot, and even other employees, they want to show like this is not the behavior to have. And this guy's never allowed on the premises again because of what he did, this unprofessional act that he did. He wrecked the place. Because I was curious. I thought they were doing construction or something. I didn't know what the story was. I found out, like a year and a half ago what the real story was.
I love that.
Mark Waid smash.
So awesome. Exactly. Mark
Gosh.
smash.
And he could get away with it more than because it really wasn't internet time. He was, it was just like whispers in an industry. No big deal. Nobody knows about it. Nowadays,
Dude,
it's
like Gail Simone. They're entitled little brats. I don't understand. It's like, remember, you guys saw this thing. One of the new fashion is to have adult kindergarten. Dude, that freaking baffled me. Like, there's actually adult people that go from their career and pay to be treated like a toddler.
It's so pathetic because it's like, I look at it. Don't these people like look at people that act like that and go, I don't want to be that person, right?
Apparently,
you would assume.
You would think, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there are people that act as examples of how to be, but also just as important are people that are examples of like what not to be, like people that take themselves really seriously, right? When I see people that take themselves really seriously, I think I don't ever want to be that motherfucker.
It's like fame also gets to people's head. It's like one of my favorite musicians is Prince, right?
I'm sorry, Simon. I hate to interrupt you. It's my bad. Vaughn, how does that smell?
It smells freaking delicious. Like
I am a good sniffer, dude.
Look at this axe on the back.
Oh man,
I love the smell of fresh print, man.
I know, me too.
You're about to make love to my book, and I gotta
go. Those pages are going to be glued together, Vinny.
I'm going to need another one, Vinny. I'm going to need another.
Yeah. Buy another copy. Buy a couple.
Hail, Boner King. We love you, dude.
Hail, guys. Yeah, sorry. I promised I had to jump on another stream, but we'll continue this too. You guys are invited on Wednesday. I'm doing another stream. I'm going to do like a showcase one. Mm-hmm. I might rotate the room if there's a lot of people. But you guys are more than invited.
Thanks,
so,
Tom. Hail,
you guys have a fun night. Hail, brothers.
Take care.
No, I love me some Vinny. But Simon, I so rudely interrupted you.
It's okay. I was just gonna go with an example. It's like everybody know Prince, right?
Of course.
But not everybody know that. Like Michael Jackson and a whole bunch of those superstars, they get disconnected from reality to a point. And one of the best stories of Prince is the fact that you could not, if Prince wanted to have a pink elephant in his video, you could in no way tell him that does not exist. Because to him, he doesn't comprehend that does not exist. Right. So you have to take an elephant, paint it pink, and put it in his clip. And you don't tell him that doesn't exist.
That's right.
That's Prince.
What video was the pink elephant in?
I think he's just using that as an example.
I was like, okay, I want to see this now.
Right. Well, it's and then you have stories of people like I'm not a fan, but there's that band Coldplay, and the singer from that band said he was like they were like at the tippy top of the charts. And they were like touring Europe, and they were in this one town, and he like walks into like the local pub, and he's just like, yeah, that's right, it's me. It's me.
Hello, I'm in Coldplay.
Yeah, it's me. It's me. It's me. And people were like, yeah, never heard of you. What? Yeah, never. No, sorry, no, never heard of you. Like that song that's all over the radio? No, sorry, no, never heard of you. And suddenly he went, oh, and like the light bulb went on over his head, and like, and he had like come to Jesus moment, where he was like, oh shit, I was getting high off the smell of my own farts. Don't let that happen again. So you can understand, you have people that are surrounded by people that are blowing smoke up their asses. You can understand why maybe it might start to get to them, but you'd also like to think that they'd know when to be like, you know what? Take life seriously, take work seriously, take your relationships with other human beings very seriously. Don't take yourself seriously.
Don't take yourself seriously. You're so much more fun to the fans and charming and cool to hang with. Stay human. Stay freaking human.
What's the best tool to disarm any attack to? Just take a pun at yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself.
Oh, dude. A self-deprecating sense of humor for me has always been like a pseudo armor.
Yeah, remember when I shared the meme police thing? And the guy was like, oh, you ripped off Dread. I'm like, oh, come on. Nice try. Obviously, it looks more like RoboCop.
Oh, man. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at our man Drew's Captain Love. I think he's on Mandy's channel right now, pimping this sucker. He is at, just a...
You left us for Mandy, Drew, but we'll keep it alive over here.
Hell yeah. He is one curly short hair away from $9,000.
So he's not here. Do we put this on?
Nice.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'm going to get a quick caffeine refill, but...
Can you guys
hear
it?
Love sounds like he gets laid a lot. I like it already.
Oh, dude. He gets more ass than a toilet seat.
Beautiful.
Can you guys hear it?
I don't hear a damn thing.
Okay, so it doesn't work.
Just insert cool guitar solo here, everybody.
Yep.
Bang, bang.
Drew forgot to activate that little box there that's in share sound in my share screen.
Right, no problem. Do you know more about this than me? I don't know much about it, to be able to talk about it, unfortunately.
Well, Captain Love is a space trucker in space.
Oh, cool. Who gets laid a lot of space punani.
Yeah, and from what I know from it, because I read the first volume, he's an old hero from an old event. I don't remember what it was, the Cleansing, I think. And now he's just a space trucker, and he ends up on a job, right? He kind of like hears a voice calling to him, and that's when he finds a computer AI that invades his cybernetic eye, I think.
Cool.
So here he is.
Oh, hey.
So I'm at the part where he meets the girl and gets the implant infected. So go ahead. Ah, damn it.
What's that? What happened?
We're pitching your book. And I was at the part that he's the space trucker. And he was a hero of the Cleansing. And then he meets that girl that invades his mind. So
he meets Spade. He overhears her talking to him while he's unloading boxes, and basically he goes and helps her break out because he's got an optical implant in his head that's driven by a little computer, and obviously it has a wireless port so that he can have software upgrades, because they don't want to cut into him to change the upgrade. So she actually enters his head with the wireless port. Just boop, just pop like that instantly, and there's no getting her out. So she's an ex-wife, kind of.
Yeah,
like
she's there forever, man. She lives there.
She moved in. She left her toothbrush, and she ain't going nowhere.
Exactly. she had a key made.
All the toilet paper's gone now. So what happens when girls move in with you, man? Like your toilet paper disappears.
Yeah, it's like one roll can last us. One roll can last us like a week, and it lasts a girl like half a day. So I don't know what that's about. Yeah.
Being a girl. That's cool, man. It sounds really interesting now that I know more about it. Yeah, and I like the babes.
Yeah, there's lots of babes. There's there's nudity in the books. So
There you go.
That's I mean, these aren't made for children. Comic books today really aren't even. I mean, children don't even buy comic books really anymore. It's like if you go to a comic book store, usually the kids are there just following their dad around. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah, I see that.
I would also add to the point that one of the main reasons why the mainstream is having a lot of problems is the same thing as movies. They're trying to cookie cut everything to be pleasing to everybody, or just the main kids thing or something, and they're oversaturating and forgetting other readers. And that's one of our strain here at CGs. We're trying to, oh well, I'm doing an adult book. Well, me, I'm doing a kid's book. Oh, me, I'm doing this. I'm doing horror, and you get more. We're actually getting to the manga now. We're gonna be able to compete with manga. Like manga have comics for everything, for every type and every fandom. So no matter what you like, you have a book for you. So
that's funny. I see Rob Muerto in the chat saying, "Get me on here." It's funny because we were just on the other stream together. It's just
it was the same with Vinny. I was on the stream with Vinny on Fusebox. We're like, let's go. Yeah, I'm coming. Okay.
Yeah, I missed Vinny. I saw him obviously because I put him in and stuff, and but he obviously had to split before I was out. So what's look at them babes. That's why. So I'm gonna send Rob a link actually because he was going over to Peter Cementi's, but that didn't happen, I guess, or something. So let's
hello, nurse.
What's up, Drew? You
What's
sexy
up, man?
motherfucker.
It's like, welcome to my cat, my sex cat van.
Booty van. Yeah.
Booty van,
Vaughn was asking, like, Captain Love, like he must get like a lot of punani with that name.
He does.
Yeah, but it's like, you know what it is, Vaughn? He basically has that Spock thing, right? Like, you remember in the old Star Trek, all the women wanted Spock badly. Why did they
love?
Yep. But why did the ladies want Spock? Because they knew they couldn't have him.
He was a challenge. Yeah, he was unavailable.
Exactly, and that's the same thing with Captain Love.
Really?
Yeah,
he's emotionally unavailable. See, okay, so like Captain Love has a curse that surrounds him, and that curse is there was a voodoo princess he fell in love with.
Oh, hey, Rob.
And so he fell in love with a voodoo princess, and the voodoo princess, while they were having sex, cursed him, blessed him, cursed him, whatever you want to say. But she asked the voodoo goddess to watch over him and to keep him alive and safe so he could always come back to her, right? As long as he loved her. So the thing is the voodoo princess has died while he was still in love with her. So he's obviously going to love her forever, but you know what I mean? So the goddess supposedly keeps him alive, indefinitely because he still loves the princess. You know what I mean? And that kind of like ties up his heart and his whole emotions and all that kind of stuff. So he's emotionally unavailable, And
that's why the ladies love him. because they can get the D, but they can't get his heart.
Classic.
I love that.
What's up, Rob?
Hey,
what's up, Rob?
Hey,
Rob.
Good to see you, brother.
I'm a little so I was just on the Peter Cementi stream. It was short but sweet.
Nice.
How'd that go?
It was short but sweet.
You were short but sweet.
Yeah, basically.
You showed up. He's all hi.
I showed up.
Very nice to see you. See ya.
Here's my campaign. He's like, okay, cool. Basically, yeah.
So you're the guy from that book that's right there, right?
Well, this book that you're showing right now, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. The pink guy is Peter Cementi, and I'm the zombie.
Well, now we have Vaughn here, we need to start picking like a day every month to do horror talk monster trivia. Brian is going to be the trivia meister. He's going to come up with the great questions, and
Oh,
it's going to be
geez.
related to just basically monsters and horror. And I don't know what we're going to do about prizes. It may just be bragging rights at first, but you guys are both welcome to come.
I would love to, but I'm glad that you made Ryan your sort of the
Game
guy
master.
the game master, because we'd be getting our asses kicked. I don't know about Vaughn actually.
I think he'd whoop my ass. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he knows a lot of good stuff.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. I wouldn't want to make the questions too difficult.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to make them like super obscure, because I don't expect everybody to have my kind of like encyclopedic knowledge of like German expressionist horror movies from like the 1920s or Italian exploitation movies from like the 1980s or that sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I try to like keep it fair.
Yeah, what really impressed me, man, the other day, I was watching one of Ethan Van Sciver's streams,
Mhm.
and Fragaboom showed up, and he was like, I guess Cecil was showing up. He was showing like comics that he had, and Fragaboom would guess the names, not only the name, but also the number of, that's like X-Men 432.
Sure, yeah.
Wow.
And this guy colored it, and this guy inked it, and this guy did. I was like, man, I'm a comic book nerd, but nowhere near to that level.
Yeah. He was like on the level of comic book nerddom that Brian is with like old Italian horror films.
Exactly.
Well, like,
Like-
horror films like made like before like the turn of the century. Like if you were to like quiz me on like jump scare movies from like the last like 20 years, I'd be like, I don't know. But if you're like gonna quiz me about like Spanish horror films from like the 70s, I'd be like boom, 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 boom. So it's the cult shit that I that I know really intimately. But that's also why if we're gonna do like a quiz or something like that, or like Horror Jeopardy, I wouldn't like make the questions like too difficult. I'd try to include a lot of 80s shit in there, for instance. And it's important to remember that, like, having an encyclopedic knowledge of horror literature and film, it's not something you aspire to. It's something that happens to you. It's from me reading too many monster magazines when I was a fucking kid, too many hours with my nose in a Fangoria or Famous Monsters of Film Land. It's not an accomplishment.
But
I always think it's fun.
To me, I
It's
was
fun,
so impressed.
but yeah.
Brian, I was so impressed when we were speaking about like the archetypes behind monsters and what they mean and all of that.
Oh,
And,
that's what I want to do for the Monster Club for sure.
No, but like I was so impressed because like you had such a deep knowledge of what all these monsters actually represented. And a lot of these, like I didn't do my research on, and there were a couple that I had arrived at independently and that happened to coalesce with what you already knew, because you had done the research.
I'm so glad for this period right here, by the way, the little period between friends and assholes, because this sentence would read very differently without that period.
Yep, it would. Yeah, it would. Hail Supreme Heretic.
What's up, Drew? How's it good to see you, man?
But it's I was thinking of going back to school. I was thinking of going for my master's degree in English literature, and if I was going to do that, I was going to put my focus in monstology. And believe it or not, that's an actual academic field now. Monstology, the study of monsters. And that can be sort of the first academic that really took a close look at monsters was Tolkien, actually. He was the first one to kind of go, okay, well, we're always looking at Beowulf, but what about Grendel and Grendel's mother? And what about the dragon? Right? And I mean, I'm also a really big fan of Carl Jung and his concept of archetypes and the shadow self which the werewolf is very often a representation of. I take a very Jungian approach to monsters, and it's just I can't, what can I say? I've been passionate about monsters since I was a very little boy, and it just never went away.
Yeah.
Well, but that's why I think it's such a because we all have that passion and we all have that. I guess, Brian, would you consider yourself a monster creator because you're doing Six Gun Gorilla, right? And I guess you could say that it's sort of like a riff off of King Kong, or
no,
really.
No, not really, because and that's why I hate all you guys with the monster books, because I don't have one right now. Is because Six Gun Gorilla, really the secret behind that, and I'm amazed at how few people pick up on this. It's and I do mean that it's a secret, as in like, oh shit, like if people figure this out, I'm going to be busted. It's Tarzan in reverse. It's Tarzan in reverse. Instead of a human that's raised by apes, it's about a ape that's raised by humans.
Right.
And when I read because I love me some Tarzan, and when I read the very first, if you read the very first Tarzan novel, it's not a great novel. The ending's really stupid, but when you get to the myth building, when you get to his origin story, you realize that you're not reading just simple pulp literature. You realize that you're dealing with serious myth building, and that's why.
Which is what.
But technically, what you're doing is that's what I said earlier. Is that when you look at it, it's technically a monster book, but your monster is their hero.
Okay, but there's
my point would be is that the people see him as a monster. They fear him. He's a monster to them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's also like one of the things I want to really discuss when we do the CG Monster Club is because this is like a thing I always get into with fellow monster fans and fellow horror fans. Can a human be a monster? And my argument is always no. Right?
Kingpin.
People can be monstrous. Right? People can be monstrous. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Okay, that's a man who turns into a monster and back again. Right? But I think when you hear people say that that Hitler or Stalin or Pol Pot or Mao Zedong, any of these genocidal maniacs, when they refer to them as monsters, it's a way of saying, oh, they're not that, like they're adopted. They're not part of my family. They're monsters. They're not part of like the human family, of the human community. When the really, really dark truth is the fact that they're very human, and that human beings do have this incredibly dark side to them, and that human beings are capable of monstrous things.
That's interesting. I think that's really interesting take. I question what it is for a human to become a monster a little bit in Monster MD. There was this professor, I forget their name, and they had everyone in their classroom draw a monster, and then they asked, why is it a monster? To everyone. And everyone had to answer that. And so everyone's going to have their own answer. So it's almost like monsters are what we make, you know what I mean? In a way, what we're afraid of or what we see in people. And I think human beings can lose their humanity. And in doing so, it's like they become a monster, it's explored a little in Monster MD, and I mean Wyatt has that zombie arm where he's part monster,
right,
and he's walking the line in a way. But that's really interesting.
Yeah, and also my attitude is never like I'm right, you're wrong. It's the important thing is to throw these ideas out there and play with them. And I might say something I completely disagree with 15 minutes later, right?
Yeah.
And and it's not the answers that are important; it's the questions, I think, that are important. Hail metal movies and brewskis.
Yeah, Metal's coming on Thursday to talk about his book. I want to say it, but I always
it looks so good. It looks so cool.
Was it Butch? What's it called?
Butch Cleaver.
Butch Cleaver, that's it. Yeah.
It-
I don't know
Oh,
why.
wow.
Why does Clutch want to come out? I keep wanting to say Clutch. You know what I mean? It's because it's Cleaver and Butch. That's what it is. But yeah, Butch Cleaver.
Yeah, I just shot you a quick video link.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Dum, 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 dum.
You guys got to stop with that,
Dum,
Doctor
dum,
Drew.
dum,
stuff.
dum,
But it is strange that that monsters seem to still be such a prevalent theme in well, the crowdfunding comic book space for sure.
Yep.
And,
And-
actually, Von Klaus is the superstar of that genre because he's absolutely killing it.
Yeah, he is.
But beyond that, it's not just Von Klaus. It's many other people. Like I was just having a live stream actually with Preston Acevedo.
Who?
Preston Acevedo.
No, I know. I'm just busting your balls. I love me some Preston.
You know,
People,
he's
go
a great
back
guy.
to Salem.
No,
Yes.
but he has a great book, and it's like and he was speaking about his love for Frankenstein, and it seems to be like it's a topic that won't go away. You know what I mean? So
Oh, it won't. It won't.
these are obviously archetypes that are here to stay, and
Yeah.
that's why I think it's
Forever.
interesting for us to try to dissect them.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
the
then
ultimate outcast. We can all relate. That's,
Oh,
that's special.
when I was a boy, and really still as an adult, it's an interesting thing. Children are more likely to identify with a monster than to be afraid of it.
Mhm.
And that's something that never changed as I grew up. And this is the Monster Club. If you guys haven't seen this, you owe it to yourself to get a copy on Blu-ray. I have it on. It's one of those movies I have on every format. VH. I have it on every format except Betamax and Laserdisc.
Betamax is the ultimate format.
It was better. It was better than VHS, but VHS I think had longer.
Let's give this a roll. See if we can get a copyright strike.
Right.
It's a price. Ha 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 ha.
To celebrate the installation of a new member, may we hear our song.
Hell yeah.
Great soundtrack.
They went for a punk rock soundtrack, kind of
Yeah,
new
they
wave.
did. But they didn't get any of the great punk rock bands.
Yeah, they did.
Definitely
It's very-
1980s.
It's very the
Definitely.
police.
It's very early 80s.
Very police.
Sending an SOS.
And
Right. This is where I pause it so we don't get the copyright strike.
now you can see Vincent Price getting busy there. The scene that preceded this is where he inducts John Carradine into the Monster Club, and gives a really great little soliloquy where they're just like a Hume in the Monster Club. What can he do? He's like, what can he do? And starts going through like the list of like human atrocities. It's just like, these motherfuckers built an atomic bomb. They can just destroy the entire world if they want to. They've done genocides, torture, the Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades. They're the worst monsters of all.
There it is, right there, man. Who's a monster is your perspective.
Right. There he is. Welcome to the Monster Club.
She's a hottie. She's a hottie over there.
Oh, the
That's what I'd be trying to land on.
Back
Back in my youth,
fat lady.
yeah, immediately.
Yeah. Actually, the vampire waitresses are pretty hot.
Tip them or else.
Oh, most definitely. Well, they do this really great dance too.
Mama
This guy with
cast.
this guy with the scarecrow leathery face mask thing.
The makeup in this movie this was Milton Subotsky's very final film as a producer. Milton Subotsky was the king of the horror anthology film. He was an American guy, a Jewish brother, who went to England and decided to start producing movies. Horror movies were very popular at the time, but he wanted to do something different from what Hammer and Tygon were doing. And so he formed Amicus, and they started making horror anthology films. And he was somebody that was a big fan of horror fiction, current horror fiction, and knew his shit and was going to people like Robert Bloch, who's best known for Psycho, Richard Matheson, a bunch of other writers, and getting the best.
Yeah.
And adapting their stories or getting them to write new ones and creating these portmanteaus. And what was great about these when you were a kid was if you didn't like the story that you were being told at the moment, it was okay because you knew it was going to end in 5-10 minutes, and then the next one would come along, and hopefully that one would have a werewolf. Or something cool. Or zombies or something cool. But yeah, this was the last gasp.
Well, he went out with Carradine and Price, so you can appreciate it.
And
white boys singing reggae.
And also Gail Simone.
But yeah, UB40s is one of their songs in this.
Ooh.
He's so passionate.
He's very passionate.
There's a picture of a phantom. Oh, I'm sorry. A flicker.
It's too bad they couldn't get like Bauhaus and like The Damned.
I know.
Would have been amazing. It would have been like even more of a cult classic.
Well, like the era could have been like what if they got like the Misfits or the Blue Oyster Cult, or you know what I mean? Or,
that would have been cool.
But you know,
I will say this: the very best '80s montage of like bands playing live is in The Lost Boys with a guy with a saxophone,
oiled up chain dude.
And he's oiled
he
up,
shows up at cons now with the Lost Boy actors, and he's like, "I'll sign too." Yeah, dude. I still believe,
dude.
He's there,
dude.
That guy became a legend from one day to the next. Just from
I still believe.
He lives in my neighborhood.
I love it.
He shops at the same health food store that I go to.
Dude,
does he wear a shirt, or does he just wear a chain?
No, he just walks around like naked and oiled all the time. No, he's like a regular dude. He's actually a really nice dude from what people tell me. And like a friend of mine who works at that place was like, "Yeah, Tim Capullo was in here." I was like, "Did you ask him? Ask him what? Does he still believe?"
Hell yeah, he does.
I still believe. Yeah. Sure,
you guys, it's been amazing. I have to run, unfortunately. I'd love to come next time and talk more horror stuff with you. So I just really appreciate you having me on.
Nice to see you.
You're always welcome,
nice
Vaughn.
To see you,
I'll always hit you up and let you know we're doing the show and see if you want to link, man. So
yes, you're never obliged. You're never obliged. So.
Hail CG Monsters and hail the fans. Thank you guys. Talk soon.
Hey, Vaughn, thanks for coming, man.
Have a great evening. There's a flicker of a phantom.
Can I still stick around or no? Is that okay if I stick around?
Yeah.
No, you must go.
No. We're not booting you, man.
Oh, we love you, dude. We love you.
Although this is this is killing me, man. The 80s were like one of the worst eras of fashion in all time.
Oh my god.
But I love everything about the 80s, maybe other than the fashion, but the feel of the 80s is something that we're never going to recapture. And
the heavy metal from the 80s was the best heavy metal.
The punk rock
freedom
from the 80s was the best punk rock.
The best rap from the 80s was the best rap.
Best rap ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best music came out in the 80s. I mean, there was also great music eras in the 70s and 60s. I mean, a lot of great music came out, but I mean, the 80s was filled with like consistent revolutionary sounds over and over and over again.
And then there are bands that I used to like really dislike in the 80s, and I hear them now, and
they're great.
Yeah, or like Missing Persons, for instance. I'm like, wow, that's like really clever pop music.
But Devo.
Oh, dude, Devo, are you fucking kidding me? Music and video pioneers to the extreme. Yeah, Devo is the shit. Yeah, mad crazy respect for Devo.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Man, just the list could go on and
What
on
about
and on.
Fleetwood Mac?
Not so much a Fleetwood.
Yeah,
not
it's funny.
Fleetwood Mac,
Jefferson Airplane became Jefferson Starship. Remember?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
stupid, basically. But
I mean,
Build this city in rock and roll.
You gotta understand. 80s, I was all about punk. I was all about goth. I was all about
listen,
metal.
we got to appreciate something like Dreams. I just mentioned Fleetwood Mac. Dreams is a great track, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Duran
sure,
Duran.
I'm sure it is, but it's just not my thing.
Duran Duran. Gotta love
I don't
Duran
charge-
Duran from the 80s. You know,
I
what I
love
mean?
it.
Yeah, like this music that I used to be annoyed by. I hear it now. I'm like, actually,
Well,
kind of
but
puts a
it's not
smile
just
on my
that.
face.
You get The Cure. You get
Love the Cure. Yeah.
Although whenever I hear Boy George sing, "Do you really want to hurt me?" I feel like I always want to answer that question.
Well, that's because
Yeah,
that was whack music. That were whack jams. I remember watching. You know, what was like a moment that like my big Queen moment. What my big Freddie moment was Live Aid.
Yeah,
Because my brother and I were watching it, and we were just like, "Is it just us, or does like music really suck right now?" Because it was one
and then Queen
band
killed it. Yeah,
right? It was like Wham and Culture Club and all this just and music that you hear now, and it's still shit. Do you know what I'm saying? And then who comes out? Fucking Queen. Fucking Freddie comes out, starts playing the fucking piano, and he connected with that stadium. And he connected with that audience, and he connected with me and like millions of other people. And you're like, yes, fucking Queen, hell yeah. So yeah, that's still my favorite. That's my favorite Queen moment for sure, without a doubt. Love me some Queen,
yeah. Queen is awesome. Freddie Mercury is a god.
without a
You know what I
doubt,
mean?
without a doubt.
Yeah. I was really sad that he died. In fact, all my metalhead buddies like gave me shit that I cried for Freddie Mercury. He's like, "What you guys cry? He was a faggot, you know?" And I'm like, I didn't date him. I don't care what the fuck his sexual preference was. You do know his music, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like the man wrote epic song after epic song with a team of epic songwriters.
And innovative too,
Yeah.
especially those early records, those unusual arrangements that shouldn't have worked, but somehow did. You know, it's especially you look at those early records, and it's just very, very unusual, very highly original. That's interesting because, like, that's how I realized, like, I kind of connected with Trent Reznor. Was like, yeah, when Freddie Mercury died, man, like,
That's funny.
I
That's
cried,
funny.
and I was just like.
But like he's actually Freddie Mercury is one of the first celebrity deaths that I remember. I think it was right around was it around John Paul II?
I think it was. It
Or
was
maybe John Paul II got shot at around the time where Freddie Mercury died.
Well, I know that Freddie Mercury's death is extra tragic because it was AIDS that took him out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
and he was still making great music before he died.
Oh, dude, the show must go on.
Yeah, show must go on. Yeah.
He went out like a soldier, man. He went out like a soldier. But yeah, that was super, super, super tragic, you know, because he had a key to that fuck room.
And did you see the live aid that they did with Guns N' Roses and Metallica and all these people that were doing a tribute to them?
Yeah.
I think that was a great concert as well.
Yeah, that was touching. That was like the first celebrity death that kind of like actually kind of touched me. First one that made me cry, actually, the only one that ever made me actually like squirt.
Really?
Was Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, I cried for. I didn't really cry for Christopher Reeve because his death was oncoming. I felt relieved that he passed away because he was in that wheelchair for so long.
Yeah.
I cried for Freddie Mercury. I also cried for Jerry Garcia. A lot of people
Really?
like what? Like, yeah. I mean, if you had ever gone to a Dead show,
Mhm.
you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Jerry Garcia is the heart and soul of the Grateful Dead. You know what I mean? He really was, and there was an epic amount of people who were moved by that man's music. I mean, just like their whole lives were changed. They were just different people after hearing the Grateful Dead. And I've never known a band like that in my entire life that would one time somebody hears them and they're a different person. I mean, they're not just, yeah, it's great. No, I mean, like their whole philosophy of life is now changed from a band.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Robert Crumb. I kind of like I heard them, and no offense, Drew. I heard the Grateful Dead. I just kind of went.
Seriously,
That's music. That's art.
a lot of people do snooze to them because they're not very they're very mellow and laid back, and you know they're very, you know, mushrooms, acid, and weed. You know what I mean?
I don't get. Listen, I'll be honest. I don't get the Grateful Dead, but I used to be obsessed with this guy named Terrence McKenna. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I've heard of him.
But he's like this guy that's like an ethnobotanist and a philosopher, and he was obsessed with the Grateful Dead. So I think it's a generational thing. Actually, one of the first celebrity deaths that actually really touched me was, and I think we're all going to relate to this, is Stan Lee. Stan Lee really.
I was again. Stan Lee is another one of those deaths that I saw coming from a long
he was
time.
so old.
But like when it finally happened, you know.
I understand. I know a lot of people, fellow writers, who were really crushed when Ray Bradbury died.
Yeah.
But I was like Homeboy was like in his like late 80s, and he'd gotten his props.
Yeah, I was crushed
all this love.
Yeah, I was crushed when we lost Michael Jackson. I was crushed when we lost David Bowie. I was crushed when we lost
Bowie. Bowie was
sad. Bowie was
a
sad.
really big one as well.
Too damn young. Because that's the thing.
And his last album was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
But like he actually still had it. You know, it's not like a lot of dudes that are legends and like Prince, I would say. Yeah, they sort of like petered out, and you know they still had some degree of genius, but you wouldn't say that they were at the very peak of their powers, right? And with somebody like Bowie, you listen to his last album, and you were like, "Man, this guy still has it, man. He's still edgy and modern, and totally with it, you know."
Yeah, and also he's somebody that went out in a very brave way.
In the comic medium, for me, was Michael Turner.
For me,
he died very young, and he was at the top of his game.
That's true.
For me, it was Steve Gerber, for the writer of Man Thing, Howard the Duck. He was the guy who created Howard the Duck, which was a tremendous curse for him, because this was a character that he was doing an issue of the Man Thing, and he had been, living on the Lower East Side, partaking in, it's like the Lower East Side, like early 70s. He's hanging out with all the other people in the Marvel bullpen. They're all dropping acid and smoking weed and shit. And he said that there was like a neighbor that was playing the same salsa record over and over and over and over again. And he's sitting there writing an issue of Man Thing, and he's feeling no pain. And so suddenly out pops this jar of peanut butter, and the lid unscrews, and a talking duck pops out. And he said that the Marvel editors, they not only tolerated like strangeness from their creative staff, they actually sort of encouraged it. But even that was like too far. And like his editor was like, yeah, the duck dies in the next issue. You need to get rid of that duck, right? So he had Howard the Duck. He's following Korek the Barbarian.
Was this during the Shooter days? Was this Shooter era?
No. Okay. And I don't think so. And no, because this is like the 1975, I want to say.
Right.
So, they're like going across like they're walking like on a rainbow bridge. It's not the Bifrost, but it's similar. And suddenly Howard the Duck goes, ah, and he slips and he falls, right? And to oblivion, and he's out of the story. The next week, the Marvel offices get flooded with mail saying duck killers, you bring back the duck, you kill, like somebody sent an entire duck carcass, like not like like a dead duck, but like a duck that had been like cooked and like the bones been picked clean and wrapped up like the remains and sent it to like the Marvel offices, and you fucking duck killers. And so they were like, okay, there's something started here. So in the Man Thing Giant Size #2, that was the first appearance of Howard the Duck in his own story, where he fights a vampire cow. That's like a cow. That's and it's like it was really strange because it was actually a really sad story, and it spoke to me. I mean, it's like the shit that I write. I love to take a silly idea and tell a serious story with it, and that's exactly what he did. And he was such a huge influence on me and on so many other people. Once the Howard the Duck movie came out, of course, it was such a bomb that his name was still going to be forever associated with it. And that was pretty much the end of his career, because Hollywood had been calling and been writing for animated shows like Thuntar the Barbarian and G.I. Joe. He was also one of the people that was very accessible. I sent him some fan mail, said, I want to be a comic book writer. Do you have any advice, et cetera, et cetera?
Way back then.
Yeah. And he died from smoking. He died from lung cancer.
Yeah,
and
too bad. And I'll tell you something. That movie is so underrated, man.
It is. It's not
and
great.
Fairly maligned.
Yeah. It's another. Oh God. Here's another digression.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did anybody talk any voodoo at all today?
No.
Not at all.
Not yet. Not
all. Well,
Okay.
we can always do.
We do voodoo. We're done.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do an actual voodoo episode again.
We're gonna have to do like a separate voodoo episode.
And
because listen, I have a zombie book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's connected. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking, and it's interesting because, of course, voodoo is a religion, and that people do practice and follow.
But now, don't get the thing. People get confused. Voodoo and voodoo, because voodoo is the Haitian VOODOU.
And voodoo and that sort of a thing. So I'm hoping that we're going to have somebody on that's going to know a little bit more about the religion itself, because I don't want to like crap on somebody's faith. And I don't know anything about voodoo, hoodoo, macumba, but I do know something about horror movies about voodoo.
Well, I've actually studied the what there is to know, like available as far as third party studying on voodoo, hoodoo, and like what's considered real, what's considered fake, what's considered actual religion, what's considered pseudo religion, and that kind of stuff, because of the character in the Captain Love story, but also because that movie that I wrote is all based around the succubus movie. The one of the heroes of the movie is they go to a voodoo priest who's a Haitian store owner who helps them figure all the stuff out.
So you did your homework. You did your homework.
I did my homework. Yes,
that's cool. But like I was saying about Steve Gerber, I just want to finish the story real quick. His death is the reason why I quit smoking, because I was like, what a stupid, fucked up way to die. And I don't want to go out like that. And also just to honor his memory, to be able to say, you know what, dude, you didn't die for nothing. You got me to quit smoking, so maybe you saved a life. And then George Romero died from smoking too, which is also just. And he was on the older side. He was in his 80s, but still.
Well, you also got to think that era there, the early Hollywood era, everybody smoked. They were given cigarettes for free. They were paid to smoke cigarettes. Believe it or not, a lot of
How old are
stars.
you guys? How old are you guys? I remember like smoking in
Ancient.
movie theaters. I
Yeah,
remember going to movie theaters and there was like a cloud.
Yes.
yes,
Me
I
too.
do recall
Me
that.
too.
Yes.
Smoke
And
when
we could
it's
smoke on
hard to see
planes.
the actual movie.
In fact, movie theaters were the first place where smoking was banned.
It was one of the first
Right.
places, but I remember actually going to movie theaters in Portugal. I'll tell you one movie in particular, Dracula, that I went to. The Bram Stoker, the
Francis Ford Coppola, yeah.
the Francis Ford Coppola version.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
cigarettes were already
watching the
banned
movie,
by then. Yeah.
and there was like a patina of smoke all over the place, man. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's cool. It's the 80s, right? And and also in airplanes. In airplanes, you
Yeah, the
wear
little ashtrays.
you had
Yeah.
little ashtrays to put everything out.
Yeah,
And
the
the-
little ashtrays in the theater seats. Yeah, I remember those too. The little
The front rows would be like you wouldn't be able to smoke there, but then if you wanted to smoke, you'd go back to like back of the bus basically, and you'd smoke with the rest of the people, like you felt like an addict. But that was it, man. And you met sometimes you met people like traveling somewhere, like, oh, you're going over there. I don't know. It was a totally different world than it is now. And
Oh, very much so. Very much so. That's my favorite movie, and Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. Quick funny story about Howard the Duck, the movie, is that I think Jason Aaron said that when he started writing the Star Wars books, like the new Star Wars books for Marvel, that he actually got to tour the archives at Skywalker Ranch. And they will lend certain things out, certain pieces of movie memorabilia out to different museums, right? And he said that Yoda was toe up, like just like barely held together with like Scotch tape and glue and everything, right?
Wow.
He was fucked up. You know who was pristine? Pristine.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
You know what? What's crazy?
God,
What's crazy? And Howard the Duck, Leah Thompson was
I love it.
so
Smoking hot, man. Yeah,
so
she
hot.
was.
Yeah.
And it's not a great movie, but it's nowhere near as bad as everybody
no,
says.
it's not even a bad movie. I don't
It's
think
just not
a
Howard the
bad
Duck.
movie. Dude, I don't think it's a bad
What Simon said.
It's
What
a
do you
great,
say?
it's a great fun movie. It's just not Howard the Duck.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't even
it's
know
a
what
different
Howard the Duck was. That was my first exposure to Howard the Duck. You
Howard
know?
the Duck in that movie has a condom in his wallet, and he also has an answering machine. Howard the Duck would never have an answering machine because nobody would ever be calling him. And he certainly wouldn't have a rubber in his wallet. Come on.
Yeah,
but it's still a fun movie.
But I think
The rubber was funny. What's funny is the rubber was so small. You know what I mean? It was hilarious.
Remember the series?
isn't the concept of Howard the Duck from the beginning that it's sort of like an animal because that's what the movie was about. It's like
it's a love story.
No, it's an anthropomorphic sort of love story, you know.
Yeah.
But is that true of the origin, of the original comic books, or no?
Here's the thing: in the comic books, you never saw them kissing. You never saw them in bed together. When they did the black and white magazine, when Steve Gerber wasn't writing the character anymore, they did have a scene where they were getting into bed naked together, and he's turning out the lights. Howard the Duck is one of those odd characters, very, very strange, in the sense that other writers can't write him.
Yeah,
Only Steve Gerber could write that character. Whenever any other writer tried to write that character, it never worked. Conan the Barbarian, Zorro, Tarzan. You could go on forever with all these different characters. Sherlock Holmes.
Do you guys remember the cartoon Duckman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The attitude of Duckman was more Howard the Duck. Like the attitude that he had.
Yeah. It was
That's
very
the big
cantankerous.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Alf was like a TV show that was like made to cash in on what they thought was going to be the impending success of the Howard the Duck movie.
What about Count Duckula? You remember that?
Oh, I love Count Duckula.
I love that movie.
Danger Mouse. There's a Danger Mouse spinoff. Man, I love
Danger
that.
Mouse. Yeah. I'm really tired of all these like retcons of shows that we all loved growing up, and they're all terrible. It's like from Thundercats to Danger Mouse to what have you. They're all like really.
But the worst thing is Thundercats and He-Man were done right a few years before. The remake that they did were awesome, and they were. They waited like 2 to 3 years, and now we got those fucking
soy versions.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it looks like Steven Universe. It's like that Tumblr art.
Remember those crazy beans that they used to sell? That's what they remind me of. Crazy beans.
Yeah.
You know what the most tragic thing about it is that as shit as something is, there's always going to be a fan base behind it that's rabid and that's going to like try to talk your ear off, trying to convince you that whatever they're claiming is better than the thing that you grew up with. Up to,
that's just their opinion. Our art is subjective.
Well, an example is the prequels of or anything really, man. There's like, if you think about it,
so bad.
I promise you that there's a rabid fan base of the new Thundercats.
That
are saying this is better than the original Thundercats.
Oh, without a doubt. Also, because it's social justice.
Of course.
So then it's like, well, this is for me. It's just like, that's why, like, I always bring up Steven Universe as an example of great SJW art, right? And that should be the standard, right? Because it's not for me. I'm not into it, but go off and create your own shit. Don't take our shit and shit all over it. Don't take old stuff and crap all over it and make it all soy and SJW. Create your own stuff. But that's the thing. They're not very creative people. In general, they're just not very creative people. And so that's why they want to create through us. And they want to create that. And by us, I mean create people who are actually creative. They want to control what we create. So then it's like, like a movie producer that's like pissing all over a project. So, he could say to his mistress, see that? That was my contribution.
Absolutely.
You've seen that, once they realized that they could weaponize Twitter and that, people were going to, that Marvel, The Walking Dead, other TV shows were going to do what they said. They were like, "Oh my god, this is great! It's interactive."
Power.
Exactly.
Power. But it's so crazy, man. That like Twitter really is their game, though. It really is their sort of playing field.
Yeah. If they lost Twitter tomorrow, they would lose all their power.
And we're just like looking in from the outside, and like if we try to like peek our heads out, they go like blah, 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 like because
it's disgusting.
It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. They like they push out their like neo-Marxist shit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like the neutral looking from the outside looking in, they see however many likes, right? And they're swayed by the amount of likes. And they have more likes than normal people do, really.
Yep. Well, because they rule Twitter that way. And, it's not even so much neo-McCarthyism as it is cultural McCarthyism. But not McCarthyism, Marxism.
Right.
Marxism. It's cultural Marxism, which is a very reductionist view of art. Sure. And they don't believe in art as being a subjective thing. They believe that art is objective. They don't believe in the sublime. They don't believe. They believe that all art is agenda driven, and of course, they figure, let's make sure that all art drives our agenda. And they also believe that. I mean, that's why you have so many writers who are virtue signalers now, and virtue signal through their art, which I've always found contemptible. Don't read my work and think that you understand me, because the work of art is always outside of the artist. I think, some of you is in there for sure, But I feel that the intentions of the artist are I would say not important. Do you know what I mean? That you judge the work by itself and not by the intentions of the artist, because the artist might intend one thing and end up with something that's completely different. That's why it's very difficult for anybody to make an anti-war movie. Even like the strongest anti-war movie is still, it's still going to make some people want to enlist.
I don't know. The best anti-war movie I ever saw was Platoon.
Yeah, that made a lot of people want to enlist.
That's
Oliver
like an
Stone
intense
was
anti-war
the-
movie. Yeah.
Oliver Stone has dedicated his career to making basically anti-war movies, and I would say very effectively.
Oh, Salvador, that's a great one.
Or Platoon, or
Platoon.
or 4th of July.
Yep. And what's interesting is that on Any Sunday and Wall Street, they have the exact same structure as Platoon. Exact same structure. Where you have a character that's young and naive, and there's like a character that represents good, and there's a character that represents evil, and he's getting pulled in like both directions. Which way is he going to go? Yeah. So
that's like Wall Street, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's kind of like life a little bit. So.
Well, it's also like life and about when you're trying to come of age, and that always entails you latching on to like sort of a father figure, I guess.
Yeah,
that really is life, So
it absolutely is. It absolutely is, and that's why these stories resonate, and why a basic story like that can be put in almost any setting. Same thing with westerns. How many movies have you seen that have a Western story structure that aren't set in the Old West? Thousands of them. A
lot of sci-fis. A lot of sci-fis are.
A lot of sci-fi.
Star Wars to begin with.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, with Star Wars, you've got Western elements, you've got Flash Gordon, you've got Republic movie serials, you've got Lord of the Rings, you've got all kinds of stuff that's going on in there. But what made Star Wars great was the fact that it was played straight, that it wasn't campy. And that's why Flash Gordon, although I really enjoy that movie, wasn't
totally
success.
Totally campy.
Yeah, it was because it was campy. People didn't want that.
But for me, the appeal of Star Wars, and I think I was never like fascinated by Star Wars as a lot of other people were.
Yeah,
I think that the universal sort of appeal that it generated was because it did we speak about this like before? I felt like it united two antagonistic elements in many different places of its canon. For instance, it's a story that takes place a long, long time ago, and yet
far, far away.
And yet, it's a futuristic setting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that immediately is playing with you. It's like, oh shit! It's like
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. If you understand physics, could mean that we're finally seeing it now, because it's the time
like the light from a star,
right? That it takes to reach us. Exactly.
I never thought of that. That's great.
But that's I'm completely with you. But that had never been approached prior to Star Wars. I don't think.
Well, what does it really mean?
The very concept of a lightsaber, right? A lightsaber. That's the union of the past with the future, because it's a saber, which is the past. It's something from
of a dead religion too.
The era of the samurais or what have you.
Yeah.
The future.
The Jedi warrior monks.
Past, future. It's the laser meets the past, right?
It's a night story in space.
Yeah.
You have the Black Knight, you have the Good Knight, you have the Gray Knight.
You have the Black Knight.
And you have Merlin.
Yes. Yeah. And all these different elements. The other thing that did that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
Sorry. So it's high fantasy meets sci-fi.
That's exactly what it is.
Another union that had never been seen before. So all these meldings of seemingly oppositional forces, right, or quantities, work to make a very compelling, sort of dramatic structure.
Most of the greatest movies like Star Wars and other started from experimental movies. They didn't start as a big production. They were experimental.
Yep. Or the next movie that did that was The Matrix, right? Where you've got the Terminator, you've got Philip K. Dick, you've got David Cronenberg, and then you've got Hong Kong action cinema, right? All thrown into a blender to create something that's new. And I'm all about hybrids. And that's not something that happened to me as a writer on purpose, because I always wanted to be a horror writer. But it seems like my natural talent seems to be creating hybrids. And
yeah, but I wouldn't even say that it's The Matrix. I mean, there's so many others, like even Titanic.
Sure.
Titanic, which was a tremendous success, right?
Yeah.
Titanic is about industry, the apotheosis of human industry, or what we thought of it as that back in the day.
Yep.
Was the Titanic, the unsinkable ship,
yeah,
the ultimate expression.
Yeah, well, the James Cameron movie, that was not like the main metaphor in the James Cameron movie, though. The James Cameron movie, the main metaphor was completely different. It wasn't even about the boat. You know what I mean? The whole movie was, the movie was
just the setting.
It was just the setting. Yeah.
No, for James Cameron, it was a romance that he was more interested in.
Yeah.
The thing that sees.
Well, it was more than just the romance. It was kind of like a take on the Prince and the Pauper kind of story where it's like he's in love with someone who's out of his range. It's more than just a romance. It's a certain kind of romance.
It was a societal critique. He was more interested in the critique of the society and
it was
some of that's in there too, with the lower classes.
It was
I absolutely agree with Mr. E, but the thing that made it such a big success wasn't that, because we've seen that over and over and over again. That romantic.
Made it a big success.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio. That's the reason that movie is.
No, I think the reason is
James Cameron provided with some extremely great directing and there was extremely tremendous visuals.
It's a spectacle. I'm not saying it's great art, but I remember seeing it in a theater and being like, oh, okay, that's pretty fucking impressive. As opposed to something like Avatar, which is also a tremendous spectacle, but which is just utter shit.
It's like people like to say that every story ever, like most of the stories have been told. What makes the difference? It's how you're gonna tell it.
Yep.
It's true.
And then of course Metal Movies and Brewskis mentions that the Excalibur is a lightsaber, it's Arthurian. Then of course you had John Boorman who did Excalibur, and that has a lot of Star Wars in it.
Yeah, so we digressed from horror talk.
We did
a lot tonight, apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, 4 hours of sleep, a lack of preparation, mucho apologies, but I think the digressions are part of what makes Horror Talk special. And also, I gotta hop over to Preston's channel because I am late.
Oh yeah, you're gonna hang over on Preston's right now?
Yeah. And
right.
I'm not gonna. I'm too cool for school.
So see you all next week on Horror Talk.
Love you dudes, and I will talk to you soon. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. And maybe we'll actually be talking about voodoo movies.
Yeah, we'll actually be talking on our subject probably next week because
yeah.
I'll be here to keep shit in line.
Exactly. I'm telling you, man, you don't want fucking me in charge. That's for goddamn sure.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming to Horror Talk. See you guys next Monday. Mondays at 5:15 Pacific, 8:15 Eastern. And if you're Mountain or Pacific, do the math. All right.
Same horror time, same horror channel.
Peace, love, and soul. CG for life.